Hello, who is here? Hi, Lynn. Good morning. I hope you're ready to strengthen your bones. Let's see who else is here. How you doing, Lynn? It's always interesting for me to teach on YouTube because I don't see who I'm teaching to. So it's really interesting. It's been such an interesting 15 months doing this to teach like this. Really interesting. Good. She's good. Definitely a learning curve. And so healing, it's really interesting for me to observe the whole aspect of bones, right? So bones are really in my face right now with my mom having her broken kneecap, and the weight bearing aspect, how important it is for us to be able to move. And I remember when I had my injuries, so my first one was at 40 when I broke a bone in my foot and I couldn't walk for 6 weeks because it was a clean break, but if I put pressure, it might have displaced it and I would have had to have surgery. So in order to avoid surgery and to allow it to heal, there was 6 weeks of no weight bearing. I remember being on the ground, walking like a crab, putting my tushy on the floor and using my hands to move myself around. I remember going into the shower and out of the shower like that. And I remember watching all my friends and how crazy our lives were, because my kids at that age were 6, 8, and 10. And so I just observed how fast paced our life is, how many activities we have our kids in, because that's what we had to do. And so that was my first non-weight bearing experience. Then again, when I was 49, not being able to weight bear and having to use crutches. And at that point, my kids were older. So my kids at that point were 15, 17, and 19. So they were pretty self-sufficient and could be driven around by people. So, and it was also during the holidays, so there wasn't a lot of activities. But when you do not have the ability to carry yourself around, to walk, to get up, to get yourself food, it's so much bigger of a deal than you can imagine until it happens to you. So that is what I'd like to say about what I'm experiencing now, watching my mom not be able to weight bear and all the care that she requires. And so I've been up now for 5 hours today, and I did so little of what I needed to do, and so much was about all her things that I needed to do. But I made some life-changing bread, this recipe I have that I make yummy bread, and I had pancakes made for her and oatmeal cookies I made yesterday. So just trying to prepare and get into a groove so that it becomes a lot easier for me to take care of her. Yeah. All right. Hi, Sharon. I think you're number 1 today because I don't know if the other Sharon's here. Jeannie, good morning. Stevie, good morning. Yeah, Stevie, I've had to. I'm learning a lot. I'm really learning a lot of how to take what it is that I do and put it into different levels of programming for people depending on where they're at, because I get contacted all the time. And for those of you that have a diagnosis of osteoporosis, because I know not all of you do that practice with me, but for those that do, and it's a lot of us, right? It's 50% or 55% of those over 50 will have bone density issues. That diagnosis goes right away to the mind, and there's such a feeling of fragility, even if you felt like you were a strong person before. And I understand that piece, because when I had my hip issues, I felt like I couldn't count on my body. And when it's really a weird thing. And again, you cannot describe it unless you actually experience it. But when you feel like you have to be cautious, then you start living in a way that's actually worse for your bones, because you start to tiptoe and move less, which is actually worse for your bones. So it's really important to feel safe, to know what you could do. So Stevie, yes, I'm learning how to become more technologically savvy so that I could actually figure out how do I take what I know and be able to offer it in different levels of programming for wherever somebody's at in their life and what they need. Yeah, Lynn, it's so important for us. It really, really is, because the body breaks down. And I guess because I do have my parents and I go to a lot of doctor's visits with them, and then I experience issues they have, I see the future. And in some ways I lived the future when I had my own injury and I had to have a total hip replacement, which still sounds so weird to me. But I feel like I see, or I've experienced, or I see it now with my parents. When I go to these doctor's appointments and I see people that are in wheelchairs that can't move and how much weight they've gained. And then if you don't have the upper body strength to lift yourself up, you become so dependent. And the people you depend on, depending on how much money you have and what insurance you have, you're depending on people to wipe your tushy for you, to make food for you. And you have to make sure that you have great people in your life that love you and that are thoughtful, kind humans that will take care of you at that level, and that you maintain all that you can, so you can also implement self-care to take care of yourself, to feed yourself well, to move your body in the way that you need to keep it limber, mobile, and strong. Okay, so that's what we're here for, and that's what I'm here to share with you. So let me go back there and get ready to do that. All right, that's what we're doing. Okay. All right, so welcome. And today's practice, there's an intention on today's practice around the hips and the pelvis, because a fracture in this area of your body could be the most debilitating for your life. It can have tragic consequences initially for many, and then ongoing. So to either avoid that by making this part of your body very limber and movable, so that if you do slip, trip, or fall, that force that comes into this part of your body will be received by the tissues and not fracture the bones. Okay, so that's really important. The other aspect is that the balance component, so for fall prevention, so that you get stronger in your body so that you're less likely to fall. So the intention today is very focused on this part of your body, strengthening, lengthening, playing, bringing in a little challenge to this part of your body so that you can get stronger, have more play, and set yourself up for success. And put all that to the side, put that diagnosis of osteoporosis to the side, or that feeling of being fragile or breakable, putting that to the side so that you could still show up every day to live and to live the life you want to live. That is what we're doing. Okay, so I want you to bring that with you to your practice. Let's make sure we're ready for our practice today. You're going to need a strap, you're going to need a block, a blanket, and when we stand up, you'll need a chair or a wall. And I do recommend that even if you have a very strong practice and you use a block because you have a lot of flexibility in your body, that you still practice near a wall. And especially if you're doing a class, that there's no other people in the room with you, so that there's nobody there in case something happens, because we are challenging our joints in this practice of yoga for osteoporosis. We're challenging our joints to in terms of coordination and balance. And so because we are challenging, you're going to go to places where you might fall out of it or move out of it. So if you have a wall nearby or a chair, that's really important. Safety is the main priority. Let's work hard, let's work strong, and let's work smart. Okay, so that's the intention of the practice. Make sure you have your props, come into a seated position, whatever is a nice way for you to begin. I Would love you to bend all your joints if you still can. If you could bend your knees like this and bend your ankles like this, sit on your heels or even elevated with blocks if you need to. And if you can't, that's okay. You're going to do whatever is appropriate for you. This is a suggestion for those that can. And I will say that people that had a little challenge at first doing this, months and maybe even years of practice, you can regain this motion, this range of motion in your joints. So do what's appropriate. Let your intelligent self tell you that yes, you can, or no, you shouldn't. And listen to that voice, because it's not, you don't have to do this. It's just a suggestion. All right. And if you need to sit with your legs crisscrossed, do that. If you need to be in a chair, do that. Do whatever's appropriate for you. Then bring yourself with your eyes closed to this moment. We are energetic, spiritual beings. There's more to us that is unseen than seen. I can see you, but the parts of you that think, that feel, that experience life, that are all the roles you play in your life, I can't see those. I only see what you live in and how you're showing up in life. So all of the unseen parts of us come to the practice with us as well. And we want to work on those, the parts of us that are sensitive, the part of us that holds the fear or hopelessness or uncertainty or doubt. We want to work on those parts too. We want to strengthen that and improve our mindset to feel strong and powerful, to have hope, and to realize that we are a lot stronger and not so fragile, that we really can do all that we want to do. So bring yourself down into your body. Take an elevator from the mind down into the body. Notice your body in this position that you're in now. Feel whatever parts of you are touching the floor or the chair, whatever surface you're touching. Let your hands go on your thighs. Move your hands around or back and forth so that you could feel your flesh, your skin suit, your package that contains you, so that we can interact with each other and experience life. Bring your hands down alongside your body. Keep your eyes closed, please. As you inhale, let your arms lift up towards the sky, if the shoulders will let you. Bring the palms to meet each other, and then bring the hands straight down in front of your heart. Inhale out to the side, palms are up towards the sky. They reach overhead, they find each other miraculously. And then you bring them straight down on your exhale towards your heart. If your shoulders won't let you lift all the way up, stop halfway and bring your hands together in front of your heart and then lower them down. Whatever range of motion your shoulders have, let it be okay. Accept it. And if you don't like it, then start working on it every day a little bit more, moving in a safe way to expand your range of motion. Let's take 2 more like this. Inhale. Hands find each other, and then exhale, hands come down. Last one, inhale, open. Keep your hands in front of your heart. Tip your head down towards your fingertips. Bring your awareness to your eyes as you gently blink your eyes open. Bring your hands away from you and notice how closely the lineup was that your body found when your eyes were closed. Notice that, right? We had our hands out to the side. The hands found themselves up above, and then they came down. And if you look at that, wow, it's lined up. And most of us have dysfunction and asymmetry in our bodies, right? One shoulder's tighter than the other. One does this, one does that. Yet our hands, without looking, that intelligence inside, the neurons inside of the hands say, there you are. I found you, just like a magnet. All right, let's come out of that position. Take your knees onto your blanket and take 1 foot back at a time, bringing the blood flow back down into the feet, unkinking the hoses of the legs. Keep your head up. Don't let your head look down. Your head weighs about 10 pounds. And if you let it go down, then the next part of your spine may round. See how my spine rounded? Whereas if I put my head up, it doesn't. You got to make sure, where's your head? Because if the head looks down, then the next part of your spine probably is rounded. And if it's rounded, that's what contributes to spinal fractures, where 50% of the fractures are in osteoporosis. And then bring yourself back up. Let's take our hands shake. So we're going to go down onto the ground to arrive to bring our energy into our body and into our mind. So when we do the standing up part of the practice, we'll have all our faculties of balance with us. All right, setting ourselves up for success. Let's take your blanket up to the top of the mat. And I'd like you to have a very thin fold of your blanket. So either as thin of a fold as you can. And for some of you, you may even do zero blanket. We'll see. We're going to start with an inverted bridge posture. So we're going to elevate our lower body so that the blood can come down to the head. Begin by coming onto your side. Reach your hand away from you so your shoulder blade helps to keep your spine nice and stabilized. Move your hair if you have longer hair, and then get your block, and you're going to place your block under your pelvis. That's why I want you to make sure you have a very narrow piece of blanket. When you push your body up, if you could place your pelvis on the block or come in with a posterior tilt so that you place the top of your pelvis on the block, and then you allow your pelvis to roll so that the flat bones come on. And you may notice that you have tightness in one side or tightness in the other, or you may feel tightness on both sides. So just pay attention to whatever it is you notice. Take your arms on the floor, lift your chest off the floor, and slide your shoulder blades closer to the spine so that they are protective and they stop the caving in of your chest. Hands are down alongside the body or out to the side, elbows are bent. And then the feet are wider than the body, not too wide, just enough, and then you let your knees fall in towards each other. So there may be some pelvic correction here for some of you. For some of you, you may not have that much to correct. I'll tell you that I feel in my body a correction because I only have one hip replacement and one natural hip. So that asymmetry in my body, I feel a correction taking place. And a correction meaning a gentle stretching or a pulling of muscles. Lengthen the back of your neck. When the eyes are closed, I'd like you to bring your awareness to your body to feel and notice in your body, where do you feel this in your body? If you feel anything in your low back that's unpleasant, push your heart up towards the sky so you bring some more extension in your thoracic spine, or walk the feet closer to or farther away from the block until you find the right position for your body. Close the mouth. Let the teeth be separated. Let the lips touch. Begin to breathe deep down to the lower ribs. Now the lower ribs are off the floor, so you could even feel the back of the lower ribs moving with breath. You could imagine there's an inner tube around your lower ribs with an inch space all the way around that inner tube, so that as you breathe in, your body expands all the way around to try to push into the inner tube. And then it moves away from the inner tube. So experience that. Keep breathing to the lower lobes of the lungs, the lower ribs. If your mind gets distracted, bring your mind back to the body so that you feel your body moving with breath. And let breath help to warm up your body inside. I'd like you to take 5 more breaths like this. Try to stay with all 5 of those breaths without getting distracted. So use the visualization and the feeling aspect of your torso. And finish up your last breath. And then let your body breathe itself again. Give the breath back to the body. If you're able to take your arms overhead, reach your arms overhead. For some with shoulder issues, that's not probable. Maybe it is on one side, not the other. So do what you could do. Then we're going to explore taking our legs straight. Let's do one at a time. So see if you could take a leg straight. Go slow. For some, the low back doesn't like this. So do what you can. This is stretching the front of the hip flexor muscles, all the way up to the abdominal muscles that attach to the lower ribs. And then bend that leg. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Go slow. Notice the similarity or the difference between the two sides. And if you'd like to explore taking both out, go slow with the eyes closed. Push the heart up towards the sky if you feel a lot in the low back. Try to push the belly towards the spine to help support the lumbar spine when you do this. Then point the toes towards the ground, reach the arms overhead, stretching the front of the hips. And then breathe all the way down to your pubis bone, the base of your torso. Take one more breath. And then slowly bend your knees one at a time. We're going to take the block out from underneath our pelvis. Push your feet into the floor, all parts of both feet, and slowly begin to lift your pelvis up. Feel what that feels like when the pressure leaves your body, and then slowly place your spine down on the floor, one vertebra at a time, until you reach all the way down. So I'll tell you my experience, because we're not able to speak here in this format. Because I have my asymmetry in my body from the hip replacement on my left and my natural hip on my right, I feel a lot of tightness in my right side of my body as it's trying to calibrate with that. And it goes even deeper than that because I've got hip dysplasia. So there's just a lot of things that are happening, but most of us have some asymmetry in our body. I see it in bodies. Some people are aware they have it and a lot are not. Most of us have asymmetry. So it's important to move with awareness, to move slowly, and to feel what is appropriate for you with anything that is recommended here. Take your blanket and fold your blanket back in double if you did take it really thin, and then bring your blanket underneath your head. Arrange yourself so the blanket is underneath your head, everything else is off your mat. And then bring your legs in one at a time so that you're bending your hip joint now. Your back is on the floor. Your arms are straight. You're holding onto your knees. Let's inhale, and you're holding onto your legs so that if you let go, your leg would fall. So you didn't bring your knees in with the muscles of the hip flexors and the core. I want you to use your arms and let your legs be soft so we can warm up those hip joints and the spine and the pelvis. Inhale, let your arms be long, and as you exhale, slowly draw your knees straight in towards your chest. Let your top thighs compress your abdominal area so the low back flattens into the floor. And then as we inhale, we'll let our arms go straight again. Exhale to draw your knees in towards your chest, compressing the abdomen, and inhale straight. Exhale, knees in. Inhale straight. One more. Exhale. And then go straight. Now your arms are on you're still holding your knees. Bring your knees in. Spread them apart from each other. Move them away from you and bring them together. In, away, and together. In, apart, away, together. And then turn that into a circle, because the hip bone is a circle in a socket. Let it roll around in your hip. And then feel whatever stretching in that process. Try to go to the full range of motion. And let's shift. The arms are away from you. You separate your legs. You draw your legs in towards your armpits. You draw your knees together, away, separate. Armpits together, away, separate. Armpits together, away, separate, together. Okay? And then bring yourself back to neutral. Let's take one leg long, one leg towards your chest. Draw that leg towards your chest, straightening the opposite leg, stretching the hip flexors, flexing the opposite leg, and then unbend the leg. Let's come into a half happy baby. So you draw the leg towards your armpit. If you could grab your foot, grab your foot. If you can't grab your foot, grab the back of your thigh. Early on in the practice, you may still have a little bit of tightness in your body, so just do what's appropriate for you. And then bring the straight leg in. Let's switch. Hold on to that leg. Take the leg long. Draw the knee in, stretching the hip flexor of that straight leg. The more you pull that knee in, you may feel more stretch in your hip. And then let's come into a half happy baby. Hold on behind your thigh or reach up and either grab your toe or your foot, whatever is accessible for you. Maybe for now you can only hold on back here. Try to press that right leg towards the floor, stretching the muscles of the hip flexors and one of the quadricep muscles. If you'd like to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle to bring in some of this stretch in your body. And then bend that straight leg, put that foot on the floor, put the other foot on the floor. Take your legs wide. Let's start doing the little windshield wiper action. Keep your soles of your feet on the floor at first and have your toes off the floor, your heels on the mat. So keep the soles on the floor at first. You're not doing a really big movement here. You're bringing lubrication into that hip joint and then start to go bigger, side to side. Think about the knees moving away from you more than just straight over to the side. So they come in and away, in, and then you push them away. And go really big here so you feel as much of your body stretch as you can.
The next time you come over to the left, stay there. Let your leg stay to the left. Activate that right arm. Stretch your right side as much as you can. Flex that hand, reach it away from you, and push that right knee away from you towards your foot part of the mat, not towards the left. But you're lengthening. You're trying to minimize the bend in that right hip joint. Take a deep breath here. And then bring yourself back up to center. Let's do the same thing with the other side. Allow the knees to go over to the right. Bring that left arm into this. Flex the wrist. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Again, try to pay attention to what's going on in your body. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's stretch our legs. Grab your strap, bring your right foot in. Place the strap in the arch of the foot, a little bit towards the toes. So start at the arch and then move it about a quarter inch or half an inch toward the toes. Wrap your hands around your strap. Pull the leg down deep in the socket and then lengthen the left leg away if that's appropriate for you. Now, the key to stretching the hamstring muscle, the back of the thigh with osteoporosis, is a straight knee. So firm up the muscles of the straight leg and guide the leg back towards the wall behind you as you firm up the muscles and push them away from you. Straight knee. Go to the place that you feel the most tension that's appropriate for you behind your thigh. Hopefully you feel this all the way down by your tushy. Pull down on the strap so that the leg presses towards the floor. Firm up the muscles of the leg. Push it away from you with muscle strength and pull it towards the wall behind you with your hands. Create that opposing force. Lots of pull and stretch in that hamstring muscle. One more breath. Let's go right away into the inner thigh stretch. Take the strap in the right hand, slide your hand down. So you want to be closer to the floor with your elbow. Keep your leg right above your pelvis. Legs are straight, keep space in your right waist. As you lengthen that leg out to the side, let the elbow rest on the floor or place a block underneath the top part of your leg to support the weight of your leg. Press your left leg into the floor if it's straight or the foot into the floor if the knee is bent. And then try to physically get the left top thigh as far away from the right top thigh as possible. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Deep breaths here. Feel that inner thigh stretch. Push your arch of your foot into the strap. One more breath. And then bring that leg back up to center. Let's take the strap off. Bring your left foot in, place the strap on the left foot, right near the arch and about a quarter of an inch away from the arch. Wrap your hands around, firm up that left leg, lengthen. Then pull the strap down, deeply root that leg bone in the hip joint, firm up the muscles of the left leg, push the leg away from you, and now begin by pulling the leg towards the wall behind you. Keep space in that left waist, deep breaths, create as much tension as you can handle that feels appropriate and safe in your body. The more you practice this, pulling in your joints, creating an increased range of motion, keeping that play in your joints so that if you do slip, trip, or fall, there's more play to absorb that force and not send it to the bones, because the bones don't bend and are not as pliable as the soft tissue of your joints. So we want the soft tissue and the connective tissue to be what supports our joints if we slip, trip, or fall. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and release. So I want you to think about that when you're doing this, because I want you to go to the place that is appropriate and deep for you. Here, when you're safe, when you're practicing a and you're in your body with total awareness. We're going to move out to the side, so slide your hand down, let the elbow be closer to the floor. Keep your leg straight up above your pelvis and keep it straight. As you begin to lengthen that leg out to the side, let the elbow come to the floor to help support the weight of the leg. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Press that right hip and thigh into the floor. Right thigh as far away from the left thigh as possible. And then press into the arch of that left foot. Feel that left inner thigh area stretch. And you're pulling on your pelvis as well, so we're also creating bone stimulation with this move by pulling on the pelvic bone and signaling that it needs to be stronger. Take one more breath. And then bring that leg back up to center. Let's take the strap off. Bring the strap to the side. Bring the knees into the chest. Bring the legs up towards the sky. Inhale, point your legs. Exhale, straighten. Inhale to point. Exhale to straighten. You could hold on if you need to. The straighter you let your legs be, the more you let them be above your pelvis. In addition to warming up the feet, you're also going to be activating the core and strengthening pelvic floor, yes, and hip flexor muscles. So you inhale to point, exhale to flex. So whatever level you need to be at, stay there. Pressing your belly towards your spine to help support the low back when you do this. Strongly point, strongly flex. I want you to feel the stretch in the front, the stretch in the back. And then slow circles. Don't go fast. Slow and steady is what wins the race. It wins the race on articulation of the joints, secreting fluids. And now we want to create a lot of play in the ankle joint. We want the feet and the ankles to be receptive for balance, for joint coordination, and to help prevent slipping, tripping, and falling. And then let's go in the opposite direction. We're never going to completely avoid all of those things in life, but let's be the best fallers we could be. I know that might sound silly, but I do say that. I want to help you be the best tripper, slipper, and faller so that when you do it, it's as safe as it can be. All right, and then bend your knees. Woo, we were up there for quite a while, so I definitely feel my feet, my ankles, and my legs when we did that. All right, let's rock onto your side, bring your hand onto the floor, and then you're gonna push yourself up, leading with the shoulder, letting your upper body strength lead the way. Speaking of upper body strength, we're going to work on strengthening our upper body and actually our entire anterior chain, which is your front body. So bring your blanket underneath your knees. And for those with wrist issues, find a way to be able to do this that's appropriate for you. Instead of avoiding it completely, do it appropriately. So maybe rolling up your mat or getting something that you could put your hands on, or coming down and doing a dolphin or a forearm plank. We're going to do the plank posture. You could do the full posture, the modification of the posture, or go down onto your forearms, whatever is appropriate for you. Let's begin by pointing your fingers or pointing away from us. Spread your fingers like crazy to create a very big pad. I'm going to hold this for 1 minute. We're going to do a 1 minute plank, and I'll tell you at the 30-second mark if you'd like to come down at 30 seconds. Because for the bone stimulation postures, we hold for 30 seconds. But we're going to do double plank for those that want to. Take 1 foot back and then the other foot back. Come into the plank. Your feet are at hip distance, which is not too far. And then I know that many of you will have tushies in the air. That's okay. That happens because upper body strength is not quite feeling secure about lowering your body here. You just want to make sure that you're either level or above and not below. Lengthen your tailbone from the crown of your head all the way down to the tip of your tailbone. That's 30 seconds for those that want to come down. For the rest of you, we're staying up here. Push your fingertips into the floor. And then if you want to lift one leg at a time off the floor, strengthening the leg you're on, and especially that front hip joint area, the hip flexor area, strengthens the hip joint. And then other foot if you'd like. Push away from the floor with your arms. Bring your feet down. Push away with your feet. Push away with your arms. Take one more breath. And then let's go ahead and bring yourself out of that. Okay, so this next one will be a little challenging, and I know that not all of you will do this. That's okay. You could watch, or you could explore this. You could try to do what you're able to do. I'm going to move back by the wall because I think it's better to do this back by the wall, because to have something to reach back to helps to support you and keep you up. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do what's called side plank, Vasisthasana. For me, it's the hardest posture that I do because there's a lot of upper body strength in this. So this is Vasisthasana. We're going to come onto a side plank. And the thing about the side plank is it's very supportive of the side hip joint, the lateral muscles. So really supportive, and also supportive of the trunk. So anyone with scoliosis, these are some of the postures we use when we're working, or I use when I'm working with people that have scoliosis. So let's go to the left side first, because for me, the left side is definitely my weakest side. That's the side I have my hip replacement on. I'm going to be near the wall so that my arms can touch the wall. And hopefully we'll stay up for 30 seconds, but of course, please be safe. You first want to come into plank with your big toes touching, your feet are touching. Then you lift your pelvis up to roll onto the outside edge of your left foot, and then bring yourself up into your plank posture. Now you could either have your body against the wall or use the hand against the wall so that it helps to keep the chest open. Push your feet into the floor. And then for some of you, if you need, you can bring a foot forward if you need a little assistance, okay? So this is not for everyone. I know it's pretty challenging. Push your chest forward, reach your hand up, push away from the floor. And then one more breath. And then bring yourself down. Feel that wrist, feel that body. Woohoo! Definitely a challenge. Let's come to the other side. We're gonna go to the right side now. You're gonna bring yourself back into the plank, toes are touching. You're gonna lift your pelvis up, roll to the outside of the right foot, and then bring your arm up. So it really is great to have the wall behind you. Push your right foot into the floor, lift the weight of the pelvis up, and then press your chest forward, pushing away from the floor. Feel that strength in your body. Feel how strong you are. Push away from the floor with your foot. Push away from the floor with your hand. Be nice and long in your body. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself out and down. Woo! I consider myself pretty strong from all the physical stuff that I do every day in teaching and in my own practice, in my own life. That is the hardest one for me for sure. All right, so move yourself back and forth, shake out your wrists. Let's stretch our wrists. Keep your arms straight. Feel your heart rate, and then stop. Definitely need to do more side plank. For me, when I notice that I'm weak in something, it's an indicator for me I need to get back on that and start doing that a little bit more. Let's do the other hand, stretch the wrist. And then flex. And take your hands. So we're going to come to standing now. Bring a foot forward. Strongest one if you feel a little iffy, and if you feel pretty strong, bring your weakest leg forward if you know which one is your weakest leg. Take your back foot under. Head is forward and up. You're going to bring yourself forward and up so you can come to a standing position. And then for this, we're going to take your blanket off your mat. Keep your head up when you do that, and go ahead and get a chair. Get a block as well for some of you. You'll need a block, not all, but some will. So we're going to begin with the triangle posture. And this is going to keep the legs straight. It's going to press or compress, push the hip joint into the socket. It's also going to pull on the muscles that are on the pelvis. So we're going to create tensile and we're going to push and pull, tensile and compressive pressure for bone stimulation. And it really is good if you do what's appropriate for you. I observe people trying to go deeper than they can, trying to go down to the floor, down to the block, or down to the ground, compromising the integrity of the spine. And we want to keep the integrity of this posture because it has specific intention. And in this case, lots of pelvic and hip joint stimulation. We want to keep the spine nice and long and rotated to also create stimulation in the spine. Okay, so be near a wall if you can, or have your chair or your block, and take your legs really wide. The direction of the foot that's under the chair, pick the toes up, toes go away from you, and then the back heel goes away from you. So you're in a really wide stance. And that's why being near a wall is good. Because I notice people won't go as far, and then when you go near a wall, you feel a little more secure. So the wider you go, the more stimulation from different angles, the more play we're going to bring into that hip joint. All right, shoulders are forward, up, back, and down. And then inhale, reaching your hands down and then up. You're going to keep your throat open. The bend is happening in that front hip. So you're going to, armpit moves away from you, hips move to the side because you're bending. It's a lateral flexion right in that hip joint, not necessarily near the front, but a little bit more side, not normally the place we bend. And then let's bring yourself down in the chair at first. So your spine stays long, your legs are in that triangle position. Activate that back leg, lift the back arch off the floor, activate front leg, lift arch off the floor. So put the pressure on the pinky toe edge of your feet. Now, if you can go down without bending your spine, so going down and not bending your spine. So if this happens when you go down and you bend your body, that's not what we're doing. I want that deeper movement to come right where we're trying to pull on our pelvis. So you want to keep that nice long spine, press your feet into the floor, and then try to rotate your heart forward. Push down in your block or your chair to get long in your spine and rotate. Push your feet into the floor. Take one more breath. And then when you come back up, keep your feet straight. Lift your trunk up. Lots of work. All right, keep your feet where they are. Keep your feet where you are. You might need to move your chair away. We're going to do one side at a time. So we're going to do even more stimulation than usual. It might feel a little tiring in your muscles. That's a good thing because we want strong muscles to support that hip joint. And of course, if you could hold 30 seconds, join me. And if not, maybe you need to come out a little earlier. All right, the legs are in the same position. Bring your shoulders forward, up, back, and down. Reach your hands down. Push down on that back pinky toe edge. And as you bend the front knee, lower down into the warrior two. Go as deep as you can in that front knee and in that front hip joint. And then look over the front fingers. Start to breathe deeply. Push your feet into the floor. Draw that energy to your pelvis. And then lengthen your spine and the discs between each vertebra. Push your arms back so they're in alignment with your body or even a little farther. Lower the shoulders, get a nice, long, tall neck, and make sure your spine is coming straight up and out of your pelvis, not leaning forward to the front leg. Push your feet into the floor, draw that energy up into your body. Take one more breath. Okay, we're going to bend the front arm and you're going to bring your front arm on top of your thigh. Nice long spine. Use that arm to lower a little bit if you can. Lengthen your spine. Arm up towards the sky, side angle. If you'd like to come on your block, you can. Probably a lot of muscle talking right now. We stayed in this for quite a while. Deep breath. Let the breath be your power, like power pills. Go deeper if you can. One more breath. Bring yourself back up and bring yourself out. Wahoo Cocoa Puffs. Shake your body, that front leg, even maybe the back leg, but that front leg. Woo! Okay. Since we just did that front leg, and it's nice and warm, I'd like to stretch our quads. Now, it is important that you're holding onto a wall or a chair. I'd rather you not do this out in the open because, especially because we just worked our body, we're gonna come into a quad stretch. Not everybody has access to grab their foot. You might be able to grab your pants or your socks. And then a really great way to do this is to do this with your leg on the chair, for those of you that can't get that, and have that leg come straight off the hip joint. Don't have the leg forward, don't have the leg too far back. You want it straight off of your hip. This might be enough for some of you. For others, you're able to fully grab your foot or your pants or your socks and then take the knee from here right underneath your hip. Both knees are right next to each other. Take one more breath. And then go ahead, come out of that. So this is a little bit more advanced, I would say, when to do the postures one after the other without coming out of them. Definitely much more muscular centric in the legs. So of course, do what's appropriate for you. I'm gonna come to the other side. Legs are wide here. Block is there, chair is there. First, we're gonna do the triangle. So you're gonna pick up the toes, turn the toes underneath the chair, pick up the back heel, back foot moves away. So that's an external rotation in this hip joint and an internal here. And then you're gonna use your feet to draw that energy up to keep that alignment. Shoulders are forward, they're up, they're back, and they're down. Reach your hands long. As you inhale to bring your hands up, keep your shoulders out of your ears, nice long neck, and then reach long with that hand. Let that hip joint start to flex or bend. Same thing. And then bring yourself at first onto a chair to keep a nice long spine. Rotate your trunk forward. For those of you that could go a little lower, go ahead and go a little lower. Press your feet into the floor and draw that energy up into the pelvis and then out the spine. Bend that hip a little more if you can and lengthen your trunk. Press your energy into your pinky toe edges. Very active feet. Don't just hang out in your feet. Take one more breath. And then you're going to keep your torso nice and straight as you bring yourself up. Keep your feet where they are. We'll go right into our warrior two and then our side angle. So you may need to move that chair forward if it's in front of you. And the goal is really not to have your whole body go forward. The goal is to have your torso go straight down as you bend that leg. So you move down into your pelvis. Shoulders are forward, they're up, they're back, and they're down. Inhale, push away from the back leg as you bend the front hip and the front knee, lowering down into your warrior two. Look over the middle finger, start to deeply breathe. Press your feet into the floor.
active pinky toe edges and active arches. Bring the energy to the pelvis and then grow tall, shoulders lowered, nice long neck. And keep pushing that front knee back. Don't let that front knee get soft and try to cave inward. Take one more breath. We're gonna go right into our side angle. Take the front arm, keep your spine long as you bend deeper in the hip to lower down onto your thigh. Maybe you could go a little deeper in the hip joint and knee joint. Come into your side angle. And maybe you could come onto the block. Active feet. 30 seconds is nothing. Deep breaths. One more breath. And then keep the front knee bent, bring yourself back up and come all the way out. Take your feet, flip your feet under. Stretch the tops of your feet. A lot of footwork, which is important for balance. And we're going to come into that quad stretch. So you can either reach down and grab the top foot, keeping your knees in alignment, or you may need to put your leg on a chair or grab the pants or grab a sock and have a wall or something to hold on to. And then go ahead and relax. So we're going to come into a balance in the knee joint. Sorry, a balance in the hip joint. And this is Ardha. So the fact that we've been doing a little bit more muscular strength with the standing work, I would like you to be near a wall, or maybe even consider today that you don't go as deep in your Ardha. So let me just show you the Ardha, the half moon posture, balancing in that hip joint on the side of the hip. So we have a really open hips here when we're balancing. And the key is to have that left lifted leg up, making sure it's not falling down. Keep lifting that leg up, okay? You could also do this on a block, a little more challenging to go lower for some. So choose what's appropriate for you, knowing that we have worked our legs quite a bit today with the two postures back to back. All right, so block or chair, foot is parallel to the wall, bend that standing leg, bring your hand on whatever you're gonna bring your hand on, activate your core, lift the pelvic floor, zipper up the midsection, and begin to lift the leg in the air, and then bring your arm up and face forward. So face away from whatever's behind you. Deep breaths. Try to lift that leg actively. Don't let it fall, and then flex the foot. You could lengthen your arm up and over if that's appropriate for you. And grab the floor with the foot you're standing on. One more breath. In order to come out of this, go ahead and put a slight bend in the leg you're standing on. Lowering the leg slowly. Move slowly, slowly. Keep your head up. And let's go to the other side. So you're going to bring your foot onto the floor, near the wall, near the block, whatever it is you're going to do. And then bend that leg, starting to bend the hip, bend the leg, put your hand on the block, and then activate the core, start to zipper up, activate that pelvic floor and core, and bring yourself up, active leg lifting in the air.
and turn your chest forward. If the head doesn't like to look straight ahead, you could roll in your cervical spine and look down if that feels appropriate. But go slow, because this is a lot of balance. If you'd like to reach the arm up and over, you could do that. Take one more breath. And then slowly, you're going to bend and bring yourself up. So moving on to the tree posture. Let's do a single leg balance. I'm going to start with my left foot because I know that's my weaker foot. And toes are forward, so you can do whatever is appropriate for you. Toes are forward. Toes are not that far apart. The heels are more far apart because it's wider in front of your legs. Let's take our hands actually down alongside your body, but really alongside. So have them alongside as opposed to forward, because that's going to bring the shoulder blades. You can even see how my chest moves when I do that, right? So if I'm here, there's more of a collapsed chest. But when I move my hands back, my shoulder blades go back and they help to serve or lift my chest up. So take your hands alongside you, toes are forward. Push your body weight onto your left foot, not onto your left side body. So we're gonna push onto the left side. Come onto your tippy toes, lift your chest, and then knee out to the side. Bring your foot in between your ankle and your knee joint. And then I want to do a swaying tree or a playing tree. I said we were going to do a little challenge with the joints today. Even if you fall out of this tree, not fall, but the right foot has to go on the floor, I want you to challenge yourself by swaying your upper body and your arms. And if you're near a wall, it's really nice because you could stay pretty close. Really grab the floor with your foot. So we want to bring some play into that hip joint and give it a little challenge. One more breath. And then bring yourself out. So it doesn't have to be crazy. I just want to challenge that hip and bring other ranges of motion above it so it has to find where it is in space. But not so much that you fall out and you feel, unstable. Just a little challenge, an appropriate challenge. Hands are down alongside your body. Push yourself onto your stronger leg, whatever that is for you, your opposite leg, and bring your feet up. So your heel or your ankle, you're in between your knee and your ankle joint. And make sure your heel is not in that middle knee joint. And then play. Play and sway. Play and sway today. Only what's appropriate. Core has to fire up, balance muscles. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself out. Shake. We're going to come into a chair posture to stabilize all the muscles, keeping you very strong center so that you have that balance. When you go away, your body always wants to come back to center. So for the chair posture, let's have the big toes touching and maybe even the whole leg touching here actually when we come into this, okay? So you're touching. Look straight ahead. And then when you bend, you're going to bend at your hip joint. So imagine you have raw eggs right here at your hip crease. You're going to try to let your low belly come closer to your top thighs. So you're going to bend deep in your hips, let your hands come forward. Lift your arms up, go a little deeper in your hips, and then push your tushy back, push your knees back, and then zipper up your midsection, tailbone pointing down towards the ground. Go as deep as you can safely. Feel that work taking place in the back of your body. Deep breaths.
Take one more breath. And then bring yourself up. Let's find the balance posture, the posture of alignment called Tadasana Mountain. Bring your feet together. It may seem like it's an easy posture, but in actuality, the more you could find mountain and alignment in your body daily, that will stop or slow down bone density loss, because joint malalignment contributes to bone density loss. So let's take the hands down alongside the body, not forward, but beside you. Begin by pressing your feet into the floor. Arrange your ankles coming out of your feet, your knees on top of your ankles, your hip joints on top of your knees. Zipper up your belly. Imagine you have a tube of toothpaste. You're going to start to squeeze the toothpaste that's in the lower belly. Squeeze and squeeze it up and underneath your ribs. Arms are alongside the body, fingers are reaching down. And then arrange your neck to be as long as it can be, especially the back. The bottom chin's parallel to the floor. Make this be work. Feel the muscles of posture and alignment fired up to hold you in this perfectly joint stacked alignment position. Mountain. Sanskrit word is Tadasana. Take one more breath. And then slowly, slowly, let that leave your body. So we're going to come down onto the ground. So go ahead and come down to the ground, get your blanket, get your block, and meet me on the ground. And then we're also going to go into the Shavasana after this. So if there's something that you would like for your Shavasana, your final pose, you can bring that with you as well. Coming down, remember to come to the side, reach your arm away and bring yourself down onto the ground. Probably so happy to be back here. Support your head. Let's take the blanket away. We're going to end today with a bridge posture before we go into our Shavasana. So take the block between your knees. We're going to realign our spine in case we did anything to it. So this can help really reset the lumbar spine. Block between the knees, walk the feet as close as you can get them to your body. And then make yourself more narrow across the top by sliding your shoulder blades closer to the spine. Hands are down alongside your body. So if for some of you, you may need to bend your elbows, fingers pointing up to the sky, palms facing each other. For those with a stronger practice that can lift higher, you'll be able to clasp underneath your body. So do what's appropriate for your body. Begin by squeezing the block, flattening the low back. Push away from the floor as you peel your spine away from the floor and you lift your pelvis up towards the sky. Using the hand position that's appropriate for you. Push away from the floor and lift up into your bridge posture. Strengthening your back in extension. Deep breaths. Squeeze the block, squeeze the tushy. Take one more breath. When you're ready to come down, go slow. Place your spine on the floor with length.
Bring your blanket back behind your head. Bring your knees into your chest. Rock side to side. Feel your low back flatten on the floor so that you can relieve tension. And then bring yourself into the final rest pose of the day, Shavasana. Bring your awareness to your breath. And bring your awareness to your body, to your hips, to your legs. Notice what you notice. Notice if there's more sensation today, a little fatigue in the body from some of the stronger standing postures that you practice today. Learning how to move appropriately for your body. Bring your awareness to your fingers and your toes. And draw the knees in to your chest. Come onto your side, and then we're going to bring ourselves all the way up to a seated position of choice. We're going to close today with the sound Om, which is a blending of Ah, O, It's the sound coming from the base of the spine all the way up, and it's from an open mouth to a closed mouth, which makes that sound Om. So that's what it is. It's your sound, the human sound of open mouth to closed mouth during an exhalation. And it's to connect to life energy. That's what the connection is. It's you, the parts I see, connecting to the unseen parts of you. Let's take our hands together. Hands belong in front of the chest, nice and long in your spine. Let's prepare by taking an exhale, then a deep inhale. Bowing to each other in Namaste. Namaste. So today's practice did have more muscular action, which means your internal energy was utilized at maybe a greater rate than usual. Make sure you drink a lot of water and make sure you eat something really healthy to give you more energy internally so your cells can make more energy for you. So something like complex carbs or something to give you some of that nice energy. And then also protein, because we have a lot of stimulation in our body right now for bone building. So feed your body so it can build bones. All right, I don't know about you guys, but oh my gosh, I definitely felt that. It's one of the strongest classes I think I've taught in a long time. I don't know all of you who are out there, so for some of you that might be challenging, and hopefully you're only doing what's appropriate for you. Let me see who's here. Hi, Mary Catherine. Nice to have you. I have to say Mary Catherine, not just Mary, but I don't know. Tatiana. Oh, thank you. I don't know if you've been to me before. Have you? And sorry if you have. I'm going to blame it on the fact that I'm 55 and that I'm not sleeping very well these days because I'm taking care of my mother who broke her kneecap. So I'm going to say that. No, you haven't. Okay, great. Well, welcome. We're here every Thursday. I teach 5 classes a week. I teach 2 that are specific to osteoporosis. This one on YouTube Live on Thursdays. And then I teach for a hospital in Southern California, and it's on Zoom. So you could do it from anywhere. And that you have to register through the hospital. And that next session starts mid-July. So we're on our last week of our last session. You're welcome, Lynn. Oh, Kathy, you know what? I think you told me that, right? Did you email me and tell me that? Okay, I think that you did say that. All right. Okay. Anyway, I hope you guys feel good. And we're going to have strong bones, strong balance, lots of play in our joints. And we're going to be, we're going to be as strong as we could be. We're going to be confident women living our big lives. That's what we're going to be. Jeannie, good. Yeah, mine do too. But I know you're strong, Jeannie, and so this will be great for you. And Jeannie, by the way, I'm growing Japanese cucumbers. And I had 3 that already grew, and oh my God, they were long. They weren't really skinny ones, but one of them was fat, but they were like 8 to 12 inches. So they were delicious.
picked him on Father's Day. Yeah, great. Well, really nice to meet you, Tatiana. Okay, anyway, everyone, I'm off to see the wizard. All right, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you when I see you.